Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Good afternoon, Beer Geeks. Happy Friday. I'm feeling really chipper because it's just moments till I can have a full-strength beer again.
You're sticking to this story, are you? That you haven't imbibed any proper beer for a month, yeah?
I haven't imbibed a full beer in what are we at? 25 days? 28 days. See, I don't even care how many days it's been. That's how easy this has been. I haven't been crying at my desk. I haven't just been sat staring into space on a Friday afternoon. I haven't, just gone to bed early because I can't drink. No, I've dealt with it really well.
I do like the fact that it's 28 days later, Johnny, like the zombie apocalypse horror film. So in my head, I'm just picturing you just frantic in a world that feels like it's post-apocalyptic because you're not allowed any beer.
Yeah, and to be honest, I have started twitching a bit like the zombies in that film when people talk about beer.
They're incredibly fast zombies in that film, aren't they? I'm not sure how I feel about fast zombies. I think slow zombies are probably more accurate because, the mechanics of how someone who's not that fast as a human could suddenly become that much faster as a zombie with lower brain functions. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, they do slow down as they get more tired and more kind of dead. I think, in the last couple of shots, they're really struggling. But initially, it's just a virus, isn't it?
They're full of beans.
This is not why people tune in to Friday 5pm to hear us debate whether zombies should be fast or not. Or maybe they do.
I just thought I'd get straight in there in the first minute, Johnny, and just totally torpedo the beer chat.
Just like a train pulling out of the station straight into a crash.
Yeah, so, mate, I'm excited for you to be able to have some lovely libations, some I won't call them crispy boys because a lot of people are sort of hating on the crispy boy terminology this week, I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the comments in the video this week was stop trying to make crispy boys happen, which is basically what I've been trying to do for about 3 years on the channel. So it was a fair comment, but I'm never going to stop. What have you been up to this week? Anything beery, Bradders?
Oh, nothing too beery, mate. I've just been slogging away with work this week. My mum's off for her jab today, so
that's great news.
I'm excited, but I'm also very nervous because I suffer with anxiety and I'm a bit worried about her going into a hospital and all the rest of it. But hopefully I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah,
it will be absolutely fine, and it's great news that she's getting it.
Exactly.
And that of all the things that the government have fucked up. And I'm not saying, there's issues with the second dose, but they do seem to be rolling it out pretty quick, which is good. And I hope that's the same for everybody around the world. Things are starting to move. So what you're saying is that despite me being the one that's given up alcohol, I've been doing more beer stuff because I've been working on the videos and indeed brewing our next homebrew for the channel.
Yeah, I was pretty gutted I couldn't come for the homebrew when you brewed it a couple of days ago. I tell you what I was doing that day, Johnny. I was working on artwork for a new TV series that's coming out on the UK television, and I was editing how wide a lady's shoulders are. So because the suit she was wearing was not. She had permission to request what image, because she's the star of the show. She can basically dictate what images get used for press and stuff. So I was basically trying to narrow this actress's shoulders down, which was really complicated because she's wearing a pinstripe suit. So if you try and like Photoshop a pinstripe suit, the lines give away what you've done. So this was a very, very extensive process.
Is it as intensive as brewing a 100 IBU red IPA with 200 grams of hop addition at 6 different points during the boil, Bradley?
Damn. No, probably not, by the sounds of it. No, I would have rather been doing that, to be honest.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like, how did it smell? I'm imagining it smelled pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, in case people don't know, this is our celebration of reaching 100,000 subscribers, and to celebrate that, we're doing a 100 IBU red IPA, so an IBU for every 1,000 people that subscribed. So it smells of caramel and red fruit, and actually the hops were just so green because they were just straight in, so they haven't developed any kind of real more complex flavour. But it smelled delightful. It tasted delightful. I tasted the wort, and oh boy, has that got some bitterness on it. That's going to be interesting, and we'll see how fierce that bitterness is once the sweetness has gone because the sugar's fermented out. But it should be a really interesting video, and we've got some big plans for it. And it all went well, which can't be said for every homebrew we've ever done.
No, that's amazing, man. I'm really excited to taste it. I think something that bitter and something hopefully that kind of colour is going to be quite a different experience because it's not a sort of style that's that popular right now. So it's cool to do something like that for sure.
Yeah. We'll see how it turns out. Shall we talk about this week's video?
Yeah, go on then.
Right. So this week's video was about as close to clickbait. Well, the second closest to clickbait we've ever come, because obviously we did did the best beer in the world the week before. But this one was all about, I guess it was inspired by silly things that come up in the comments time and time and time again that really annoy us and that we wanted to put right. Now, obviously we didn't directly tackle those comments because that would be maybe a little bit rude. But we just talked about 5 things that we wish all beer geeks knew that we thought would help stop the spread of misinformation. So if you haven't seen that, obviously the link is in the show notes as always. So the comments, thankfully, did not disappoint. We got loads of people who, agreed with our comments, loads of people that disagreed with our comments, and loads of people who started making comments that were exactly like the comments that inspired the video. So one example of that was Terence Doherty, who came on going, 5 other things you need to know about craft beer. It must be brewed in Islington. The drinker must live in Islington. He must have a beard. It must cost more than £8. It must be served in half a pint glass, and you have to report back on social media. Wow. I can only name one brewery in Islington.
Yeah.
I can't think of any others. Hamilton's the only one I can think of.
I guess he's sort of insinuating that it's the height of hipsterdom.
Yeah, which means he's about 30 years too late.
Yeah, like no hipsters live in Islington anymore. They can't fucking afford it.
Yeah, and it's where you go for really expensive meals. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a trendy place whatsoever.
No.
So yeah, screw you, Terence, in the nicest possible way. What comments did you enjoy, Brad?
Yeah, so I got a comment from Ben Riley which really resonated with me. Which he just said, another great video, guys. Another point maybe for next time. You don't always need to drink from a glass. If I'm drinking a new beer I've spent £7 a can on, then yeah, I'll drink it from a glass for the best experience. But I've been known to drink a 4-pack of Northern Monk Faith, for example, my favourite core pale, from a can, usually at a barbecue, with a can in a koozie. I'm down with that, to be honest. As I've said in this podcast, I've been doing a little bit of street drinking over the sort of lockdowns and not necessarily lockdowns, but over the whole sort of COVID process, because it's the only sort of outside drinking that I can do. You know, like I'd be in a pub or a pub garden. Even in wintertime, I'd be kind of braving a pub garden from time to time. So, you know, you're not allowed glass on the street, but you can crack a cheeky 330ml tinny if you're feeling particularly fruity. And I think if it's a core beer, if it's a fridge beer that you're always used to drinking, an old reliable beer, there's nothing wrong with just sipping from a can. I know you're not getting the full taste and kind of flavour experience because you're not letting all of those, you know, flavours out. You know, you can't smell them all, you can't get the full whack. But at that point, when, you know, especially if it's a communal thing at a barbecue or you're out with your mates, I think you can get away with it. I think it's fine.
I kind of can't believe we have to have this conversation, to be honest. Like, we should all be drinking from cans and bottles unless you really want to get the most from it. It's a perfectly natural and normal thing to do. Like, if you want to drink from the bottle, drink from the bottle. If you want to drink from the can, drink from the can. Even if it's a double IPA, even if it's a barley wine, you know, whatever you want to do is what's going to give you the best experience. When it comes to really appraising a beer or a really special beer that you really want to remember, then of course put it in a glass. You'll get a better experience. But most of my drink, you know, when I'm drinking at home, unless it's homebrew, which is from my keg, I'll mostly drink from the can. If it, you know, particularly if it's a lower ABV thing, I'll only put, you know, double IPAs, barley wines, imperial stouts in glasses, where it's a really heady experience. If I'm just drinking a pale fire, there's no way I'm putting it in a glass.
No, I think there's something quite satisfying about cracking a nice cool can and just sitting back and not being asked to like pour it out and get the perfect pour and all the rest of it.
Yeah, like we've always said, the more you understand about beer, the more you can shut the fuck up and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know what pale fire tastes like. I don't need to appraise it, and I get a wonderful experience drinking it straight from the can. Yeah. You still, you know, you get so much aroma from the retronasal, which is like when you breathe out after you swallow. So it's... You're still going to have a wonderful experience. You're just not going to get completely sort of caught up in the moment, which is almost better if you're at a barbecue or having a conversation or something like that.
Definitely. Can we just have a shout
totally
out
right.
for the magical, amazing invention that is a can as well? You know, this thing's been around for well over 100 years, and it's kind of changed the way that we eat and drink. You know. Certainly throughout like hard times, you know, going back to zombie apocalypse sort of tales, all that's left in a zombie apocalypse, Johnny, are cans, mate. So everyone on the Walking Dead...
And if they're fast zombies, then, you know, you don't have time to put it in a glass.
No, you ain't got time. Plus, you can chuck a can at a zombie's head. You could beat you could beat in the soft cranium of a zombie with a can of beer, I reckon.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's multi-use, mate.
I'd probably decant the can after that. You don't want to get zombie blood on you.
No, I would decant. I'd give it a thorough rinsing and then, you know, decant. If you've got maybe a nice bit of crystal glassware if in your zombie apocalypse setup.
You grab the weirdest things during the apocalypse, like, quick, grab all the essentials, and I'm there getting like a golf club and a warm jacket, and you're going, but the crystal glassware.
Well, you know, gotta enjoy the finer things in the afterlife.
The small comforts in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, but cans are great. Love cans.
There was another comment. We spoke about freshness being fetishized, and we had lots of comments from people. You know, most people agree. We didn't have anybody going like, "No, I don't drink IPA that's more than like 2 weeks old." Lots of people sort of pontificating on when an IPA is at its best. The caveat I would put out there is, again, it depends on the storage of it. So lots of people going, you know, I think that 5 weeks is the best point. As Samurai Samurai Flip Hop said, in my opinion, 5 weeks is the point at which a good IPA starts to become great. You're totally right, but if it was stored for 5 weeks at 20 degrees, it would be terrible. If it was stored for 5 weeks at 10 degrees, it might be all right. If it was at 5 degrees, it would taste absolutely magical. So, again, we focus, I think, too much on the time, and we need to focus on the storage. What temperature has it been at? That's more important.
exactly. Yeah, it's all about the context, isn't it? It's the kind of life that can's lived before you open it, which we talk
Exactly.
about a
Yeah.
lot. But I mean, it really is that critical
Mm.
that it's been taken care of, babied
Yeah.
even, I would say.
So, nowadays, particularly with lockdown, we're mostly buying probably direct from the brewer. In that case, then Samurai Flip Hop is probably right. Like, it's probably going to taste its best around about a month after it was canned.
Yeah.
If it's come direct from the brewer and it's spent time in your fridge. That for me is a good rule. I think about 4 weeks is probably when it's going to be at its best. That's not to say that before that it's crap or after that it's crap. It's still going to be good for 3 to 6 months afterwards if it's well made. And it would hopefully have been good straight out of the brewery, but sometimes they do get very, very green and a little bit astringent to start with. Those are the comments that caught our eye. Lots of people saying similar things, but those are just the ones that sort of caught our eye. And it was really... I was kind of worried about some of the content we've had to put out this lockdown because we didn't have time to prepare for it. But actually, we've created some really great debate that's been amazing to read, and I've really enjoyed the comments that have been coming in recently.
Yeah, I think that's it. We've had to evolve in difficult circumstances. We'd obviously love to be out there on the road, discovering new breweries, new amazing beers, and new sort of travelling experiences, but that's not the world right now. So we've had to travel a different kind and explore all of these kind of burning questions that are, I think they're pretty important. Like you said, they're a little bit clickbaity potentially, but they're really not. Once you get into it, we're just trying to spread information that's kind of key to appreciating beer. At the end of the
When
day,
it comes to our clickbait sort of thumbnails and titles, I say to myself, like, under promise and over deliver. So if it looks like clickbait, just don't actually have it clickbait. Like, get the click and then really start a great conversation, which I think is hopefully what we've managed, and hopefully you guys agree as well. So talking of great interaction, just a quick reminder, we've got our last couple of boxes left for our Pressure Drop live show, so we're nearly sold out. So there's honestly like 3 or 4 left, so if you want to get in on that, buy it now. There's a link in the show notes. If you do miss out, still put an order in, because some of those beers will still be available just to buy sort of in the normal web shop, and you can drink along with most of it. So don't see that as a reason not to be involved for next Saturday's live show with Pressure Drop at 8 p.m. with the lovely Sienna and Claire from the brewery. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. We've got a question to take this week, Bradley.
Oh, I totally forgot about the question. Bloody hell!
Oh yeah,
it's
a big question.
Yeah,
so
this is a good one.
Stand by for this one from Lackey Sommers.
Hey Brad and Johnny, Lockie from Melbourne here. I'm asking a question relating to my new hobby of homebrewing. I teach students, and when they do something selfish, I often ask the question, what if everybody was doing it? With this in mind, I'm trying to rationalise homebrewing. If every beer geek picked up homebrewing, would it not take away much needed income from local independent craft brewers? Do you think I should feel guilty? I guess I'm hoping for reassurance that my favourite craft breweries will stay strong during these tough times, whilst I still do a cheeky little homebrew batch. Cheers, fellas, and keep up the good work.
Wow. Brad, do you want to go first? I need a second.
Look, I mean, it's a huge question. Obviously, we are now championing home brewing as a sort of thing to participate in. I think it makes a lot of sense. The world we're living in right now, we've all got a bit of extra time, hopefully, where before we were commuting and doing this and that. Now we find ourselves with a bit of spare time. And it's really nice to sort of, and comforting to try and take up a hobby. So I don't think you should feel guilty about being a home brewer. We should all feel that we should support our local independent breweries and bottle shops, and we need to do that because we want to have them post COVID. But by all means, I think the more that we can learn as individuals about beer and about how to brew beer, and get a deeper understanding on how difficult it is to make fucking awesome beer. I think a lot of people will be humbled when they try home brewing and go, that actually tastes horrible. That's nothing like what I thought it was going to taste like. What's gone wrong there? And you will become a more forgiving and a better person for it. So that goes, for untapped raters that are, we're always talking about how harsh people are on Untapped when they just totally decimate a brewery by jumping on and saying that, a particular beer they've had's no good. And that, you should kind of always be a little bit, not reserved, but kind of more compassionate and more even-tempered about how you review stuff. And I think the more people that are home brewing, the more people understand how difficult it is to brew, the better it is for everyone. So yeah, don't feel guilty about it.
I totally agree with that final point. Like, the more people that are homebrewing, the more people have understanding of the complications of making beer, because it is an incredibly complicated process. And of course, transport, which we talked about earlier, is incredibly complicated. So having more people who are homebrewing and understanding that is only going to increase the knowledge that we have and the drive that we have to improve as an industry, and it's going to get us drinking the good stuff, which is good for the market. So it's sort of like, the more you know, the more you can actually contribute. So I think that's one way in which homebrewers are really important. Another way is that lots of homebrewers go on to be professional brewers. So it's a vital stream of knowledge and of inspiration coming from amateur homebrewers, even if they don't become professional brewers themselves. So many blogs and stuff are used by professional brewers for information. I think also it helps widen the scope, because I'm a huge beer geek, and my friends know that, and often they'll be quite skeptical of stuff if I say, hey, try this. But if I say, hey, try my homebrew, everybody wants to try it. So it's a great way of bringing new people in. So you can be part of that journey as well, and that's another way that you can support your local breweries, by getting people excited about it. It's a great way of spreading it. And also, the other thing to remember is, we don't have any sort of contractual obligation or loyalty to particular small independent and ethical businesses. So yes, homebrewing might mean you spend a little bit less at a brewery or at a bottle shop, but it does hopefully mean that you're going to spend more at a local independent homebrew store, or a local independent shop where you buy, cacao nibs or fruit that's going to go in. And it also means that when you're homebrewing and you meet people and you share it, so many of these homebrew clubs, they meet in the pub. So they're generating people drinking and supporting small independent businesses there as well. So yes, there could be some issues if you're just homebrewing, keeping it all to yourself, not telling anybody about it, and just not supporting industries. You have a total right to do that, particularly if you want to save money, if money's an issue for you. But yeah, you are perhaps taking some money outside of that industry. But most homebrewers, it's only doing good for the industry as far as I'm concerned. And, the conversations we've had with lots of brewers, they love the fact that, the craft beer channel's promoting homebrewing. They love the fact that they're homebrewers. And most of the conversations they have online, and most of the emails they get are from homebrewers who love their beer and who love producing beer. So I think it's part and parcel, and an important part of the whole beer scene, those homebrewers. I think they're a really positive thing for brewers.
Yeah, I mean, for me as well, like, just to add to that, it's, if we look at beer as like an ecosystem, craft beer, it's just another part of the ecosystem. So it's it doesn't mean because you're consuming that at home that you're not drinking other beer. It just enriches the scene and the community. So the more education that people can have, the more power that you have, and the more that you just spread the knowledge. It's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What a positive way to end the show. Homebrewers unite. All power to you. And if you do worry that you're not spending enough and you've got the money, then go out there and support an independent business. It doesn't have to be a brewery. So there's lots of ways that we can just be the best people that we possibly can. So we're back on Wednesday with the video to end all videos. It is my video diary of my month not drinking alcohol, going from 40 units to 0, screeching to a halt. And that should be a really fun video. I've also got some terrifying testimonies from some experts who work in clinics and stuff like that. So, prepare for that. It should be good fun. And then also on Sunday, so 2 days' time, we've also got the next full-length episode of The Bubble coming, which is an interview between me and the drummer of the Scottish rock band Frightened Rabbit. It's a really interesting and quite emotional interview that's well worth a listen around mental health, being in a cult band, and natural cider. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and make sure you tune in on Sunday at midday when that goes live. Bradders, anything to add for the end?
Beautiful. Only to join us along on our Pressure Drop beer drink along that we've got coming up on is it the 6th?
It's the 6th.
February? The 6th of February, Saturday the 6th of February. I believe there are still boxes available. And also Bigfoot Festival, which we're involved in, has now got tickets on sale. So if you love beer, love music, love great food, love getting out of the house, hopefully, and camping, if we're allowed to. They've got a great lineup of music already with Primal Scream, Fat White Family, Hot Chip, and Errol Alcan, who's a particular favourite of mine. So if you wanna join us and support an independent beer and food and music festival, go check them out.
Yeah, absolutely do. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. All right, guys. We'll see you on Sunday and on Wednesday and on Friday and Saturday. You can't get enough of us, or maybe you already have, in which case we won't see you. But till next time, love and beer. The Bubble Podcast is brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's Craft Beer channel. Head to youtube.com/the Craft Beer channel to watch this week's video and over 400 more exciting episodes. If you love what we do, please do subscribe and even join our Patreon at patreon.com/craftbeer channel. Love and beer.